Alright, 3, 2, 1, let's jam. Cowboy Bebop is a classic anime show, and I thought it'd be fun to review this one before I talk about the Netflix live-action adaptation, because it came out a few weeks ago, and I started watching this show like 3 days before that originally came out. I planned to binge it all and then watch that right away. That obviously didn't happen. I did watch it over the course of the last few weeks and absolutely loved it. It is by far the best animated show I've ever seen. My favorite thing when it comes to anime in general, and I just have so much to say about the show. So in this video, I'm going to talk deeply in spoilers about it. So if you have not seen the show, go check it out. If you're in Canada, it is on Netflix, or if you own it like me, you could probably find it online somewhere as well. But this show just means so much to me. But a little backstory with anime for me, I haven't really talked about it on the channel. I have seen a few of the Studio Ghibli films. I do own Spirited Away. It is fantastic. Howl's Moving Castle and this one are my two favorites. I've seen Castle in the Sky, which is pretty good, not my favorite. I've seen Princess Mononoke, My Neighbor Totoro. I think like those are like the main ones I've seen. I still need to see films like Ponyo and Kiki's Delivery Service and stuff like that, because I know those ones are supposed to be really good. But I know a little bit about anime. I have seen those ones. Yes, they are Studio Ghibli, so they're more like wide audience and stuff. But I've never seen an anime show, especially one from the 1990s. And this thing is essentially perfect. That's how I feel about this show. This is one of the best things, not just shows, not just anime, not just animated things, just one of the best things I've ever seen. Now, there are many reasons for that, and I first want to just talk about probably the best part about this show, and that is the characters. Now, Spike Spiegel and Faye Valentine are two of my all-time favorite characters. Now, I'm first going to talk about Spike because this is just because he is such an awesome character. He's a character that I really relate to. In a way, I'm not fully sure why. I have a few ideas, and I might say them later on. I'll kind of decide whether or not in my head while talking here. But he is just the coolest character ever, and he's one that actually makes smoking look cool, because smoking is obviously disgusting, but here he makes it look cool. And he's based off of Bruce Lee. Now, I haven't actually seen a full Bruce Lee movie, but it's Bruce Lee, so I know a lot about him, and it's very apparent here, and it works so well. He is such a good fighter, such a calm person. He adapts to every single situation just so well and does it in style. I mean, his outfit is iconic. I feel like all their outfits are really iconic, but especially his frizzy hair, kind of his hair that goes up like this, is just so awesome. And normally he's asleep for a lot of it. That's one thing, is that he's so like calm and chill and stuff, but that's also because at times he's lazy and he's asleep. But he's also a character that is so heavily attached to his past, and that's what really drags him down in ways mentally, I think.
For real? We can't live without them. I knew I
whatever happens, happens.
That's something that so many people talk about when they talk about Cowboy Bebop. For a main reason is because it's the main theme of the show, but it's forgetting your past and trying to ignore it and move on from it. And even in the first frame of the show, it's presented so well here. We know that Spike has had some stuff going on in the past, and as the episodes progress, as the show progresses, we figure out what that is with Julie and everything, and I'll talk more about that later and about my favorite episodes and stuff. But what I really love also is the flashbacks, how we get to see parts from his past, and the way that they're animated is just beautiful. I have to talk about the drawings and the style of the show just quickly because it's just unbelievable for me. I've done like stop motion and stuff, so I know how annoying that could be, but if I had to draw everything and then do it, and because this is all hand drawn, it's unbelievable. It's easily one of the best looking things I've ever seen. The whole world of this like post-futuristic world, not post, oh my god, futuristic world, you know what I mean, is just awesome. And you see some familiar signs. There are some like Bruce Lee stuff, and they kind of, in a way, not rip off some companies, big companies, but it works so well here, and just the style of the show is really what gets you. But moving on to Faye Valentine, I love her basically as much as I love Spike. Now, I'll talk about Jet and Ein and Ed and all them like later on, but Faye is just so great because she has so many issues, and it's shown right away basically. I mean, when she finally finds that VHS tape, or whatever you want to say, cassette tape or whatever, I don't remember what they refer to it as in the show, and she sees parts from her past, it is so emotional, and you really feel for her because when we meet her, she doesn't know anything about her past. She doesn't even know if that's that's her real name. She doesn't remember anything. So when she joins this crew, it's totally different, and it adds a whole dynamic to the show that it didn't have in like the first episode or two. I forget exactly when she joins them, but it's just amazing how much character development can be shown in like 20 minutes, because these episodes are only 20 minutes. There's only 26 episodes in the show, yet I felt such an emotional connection to every single character basically, and every single moment. It's one of those shows that when I finished it, I mean, like, I felt like, oh, that was an experience, and I want like a poster now. I want some merch, and like I actually do have a Funko Pop for Vicious. I found that even before I finished the show. I finished the show last night, so that's why I'm talking all really excited about it, because I really loved it. Moving on to Jet. Jet is really awesome. Again, he's just like so cool. He's kind of the dad of the crew when it comes to these bounty hunters. He is the dad. He cooks and everything like that. He makes sure that they're all kind of staying in line in a way, or at least he attempts to, and then typically Spike's like, no, I'm gonna go do it anyway. And Ed and I are just adorable together. I really love them. As the show moved along, I started to appreciate them more. I mean, Ein was great all along, but when Ed was first introduced, I was like, ooh, yikes, like, am I gonna hate this character? And yeah, I think that Ed can probably get on your nerves a little bit at the start, but that's kind of the point. But by the end, when Ed finds her father and everything, and then ends up going on her own path with Ein, I really felt moved by it, and she was pretty funny throughout, and there were a lot of scenes where I was actually like laughing out loud because of the things that she would either say or just do physically, because she's a very expressive character. You know, she's the young one and the one that shouts and yells random things and runs around. So I thought it was pretty cool. I'm a little worried to see what they're going to do in the live action adaptation, because I've heard some bad things about that, but I guess we'll have to see. I'll talk about that soon. And finally, I have to talk about the person I showed before, Vicious, and you can see why I'm referring to them as people, because even though they're drawings, like they're literal characters, I still cared so much for them. Vicious is one of my favorite villains of all time, yet he is not in the show for as much as it feels. There's such like an impact he leaves on it. It's kind of like Darth Vader in the original Star Wars film behind me. He's really not in the movie for as much as you think, but there's just this kind of weight that's just over it that you really feel. And my favorite episode, as I was going to say, I was going to talk about that later, my favorite episode is episode 5, Ballad of the Fallen Angels, which is just one of the best things I've ever seen. Once again, just kind of going along with the show. That episode is basically just a perfect film noir in 20-something minutes, 22 minutes or whatever. It is so well done, and it's one of my favorite shots of all time, which I can tell is inspired by Reservoir Dogs and stuff like that. I mean, that shot has been recreated a bunch, but it's just so stylistic. And that's another thing I really loved about the show, is as I talked about, it was just so well animated, but the style of the show is really what makes it stick with you. And I think the themes is another thing that really impacted me in the end. I'll talk about the end of the show in a little bit, but this show deals with deep themes of forgetting your past and moving on and everything so well and perfectly, and that's something that I can really relate to. As I said, I might talk about this, and I decided I am going to talk about this. That's probably the biggest thing in life I struggle with, I guess, mentally, is moving on. I have chills talking about this, but it's tough for me a lot of the time. A lot of my friends they know that it's tough for me sometimes to move on from either people or situations that I've been in. So the way that this show really encapsulates it is exactly how it is. I really related to Spike because of that, and I think that's why I really love the show and why it felt so personal to me, because yes, I'm just watching drawings on screen that are being voiced by random people. And for those who are wondering, I did watch the English dub. I know that a lot of the time people are like, no, just watch it subbed, and for me it doesn't really matter, but apparently when I looked it up universally, it's known that the English dub is better, and I could see why. I mean, the voice acting was just perfect. But going back to what I was saying about the themes, the way that the idea of moving on and forgetting your past is dealt with here is so well done. And one of my favorite moments of the entire show happens in like the last episode. It's like part 1 and part 2, so I'll refer to it as the same thing, which was my second favorite episode. But right as Spike's about to leave, Faye's very upset with him, obviously, and he gets her to look into his eyes and says, this is a glass, like this is a fake eye. I don't think he says glass eye, but this is a fake eye. This is a real one. This is one I see with the past. This is what I see with like the present. So when she looks at him, there's so much emotion there, and the close-up and everything is so well done. And she's very upset, obviously, because she went to, like find her purpose in life in a way, but then realized that it isn't all it was set out to be, and then she fires some rounds, like she fires a gun just at the air, which kind of shows how she really felt in the moment, to show that she actually really cared about Spike, no matter how many times they fought back and forth and argued and stuff. And it's the dynamics here that work, and the final scene of the show is perfect. It's one of those shows that has just a perfect ending, just like Breaking Bad, which is my favorite thing ever, my favorite, I guess, piece of art, piece of media, whatever you want to say, piece of entertainment ever. But Spike finally goes to confront Vicious, and they still do it in a fair way when I think it's Spike's gun flies over to Vicious, and Vicious's sword, or katana, whatever you want to call it, katana, however you say it, flies over to Spike, and they both like kick it to the other one. Spike is able to shoot Vicious, but Vicious is able to stab Spike, and then right as the show ends, we just get bang. And then Spike falls forward, and then it fades out into the beautiful music, and that's something I have to talk about really quickly. I know this review is longer, but I'm talking spoilers, so it's okay. The music of the show fits perfectly. There's actually one song I didn't even realize was from Cowboy Bebop. It's like do 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 do. It's like this higher pitched thing. I think it plays in a scene with Ed and Ein. If you know what I'm talking about, then you'll totally understand, obviously, but I can't play it here on YouTube or else copyright and stuff. And the whole intro is just awesome. Obviously, that's how I started off my video. 3, 2, 1, let's jam. Ba-dum, 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 ba. And the way it's animated and stuff like that. Because I actually originally started watching this on Netflix, and then I got about halfway through, just over half, and then I was at Walmart for Black Friday, and I picked up the series on Blu-ray. That's how good the show is. I was halfway through the show, and I picked up the Blu-ray. I can definitely see myself watching this one over and over again. There are so many layers of the show that need to be peeled back. I really want to talk more about the show because it means a lot to me, I guess, already. I mean, I finished it last night, and still I could say it's probably in my top 10, top 15 favorite pieces of entertainment ever, if you know what I mean. When that includes all movies and shows and stuff like that. I mean, this thing is perfect in my opinion. There really isn't any missteps here. There are definitely episodes that you could say are weaker than others, but that happens in every single show. That's like if you were to say, oh yeah, that movie's really good, but this scene was worse than this scene. Like, you can't really compare it like that. I loved this show, and I highly recommend it to anybody out there. Not if you're just an anime fan. If you're just someone who wants to get into it, I could definitely recommend it. Or if you just want a show that only has like 26 episodes, then you need to check this one out. Cowboy Bebop is essentially a perfect show. The deep themes of the show entrance me from the opening frame, but it's the characters that elevate this show to all-time status. Also, Spike and Faye are two of my new favorite characters ever. I'm gonna give the original Cowboy Bebop a 5 out of 5. Now, I'm a little scared going into the Netflix live adaptation. I know a lot of people have liked it, but from what I've heard about it, I'm a little bit worried, especially with stuff with, I think, hearing about like Ed only being in like the final episode, which is just weird. I don't know. I'll review it as soon as I watch it. I'll probably do a video like this where I talk about the spoilers. I hope I like it, because I know I actually have a few friends on here on YouTube and stuff like that who did like it, so let's hope I do. It is like 10 episodes or something, so it will take me a little bit to get through because I'm very busy weekend in front of me. But have you seen Cowboy Bebop the original or the Netflix live adaptation? What anime show should I watch next, or movie or anything? I actually want to talk about the Cowboy Bebop movie soon. I might react to it or do a live watch along, or maybe just a review. I guess we'll have to see. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys next time. See ya, Space Cowboy.